Hello everybody, welcome to Cape Rugby TV. It's Wednesday night and we talk about what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. We've said it now a number of times, rugby does not stop. We just finished the sevens and already we saw that people were posting about when their pre-season training is start. Forget about the annual awards dinners and the AGMs and things that the clubs are up to. That didn't take long for the admin process for us to become aware of the admin process that the clubs are up to. It took a few days and the club started posting when they were busy with their pre-season and off-season training sessions. So it's rugby all year long. Let me introduce you to my panel this evening. Jerome Parwater. Jerome, welcome in here.
Yeah, JP, as you say, it doesn't stop. So we're in another phase now. We come off a season, now we're into pre-season.
Yeah.
So it doesn't stop, yeah, so we're quite busy.
Mr. Jones, Danny Jones from Western Province Rugby. Nice to have you back.
It's good to be back, JP. Thank you. It's good to be on the show.
Yeah, you guys, like I was just saying, you got pedal to the metal. It's just rugby all the time.
Definitely, definitely. As you know, we're busy with planning for 2019, as well as the upcoming event. You know, it's the AGM on Monday.
Yeah. That's of course elections.
That's that's the AGM, and
the
elections
AGM
is part of
of
the
that.
procedure.
What else do you do at the AGM?
Well, we
you go to
normally
AGM and
look at the AGM. You first and foremost is the acceptance of the minutes of the previous AGM, as well as whichever special general meeting took place, and then obviously you go through those processes. Then any other business that clubs want us to discuss, and then obviously in the year of elections, you then elect an executive.
And Western Province elections are every 3 years for the executive board.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
What other organizations inside the union has this type of process? Referees or schools? Or
Referees and schools.
do they all have their own constitution and their own election?
They all have their own constitution and their own elections. Correct.
And is that also every 3 years?
No, the schools, if I'm not mistaken, the high schools is every 2 years.
Yeah.
I think the primary schools is every 3. The referees association is every 2 years.
Does that make them a separate body, or does that still mean that they fall under the union?
They are associate members of the union.
Okay.
So they have their own constituency to which they are accountable to.
How does that work? I mean, how does that work in terms of that constituency? If you look at the union, we know it's clubs. Does that mean in schools, high schools, it's schools?
In high schools, it's schools and junior clubs. In primary schools, it's also schools and junior clubs.
But you've got like 300 odd high schools or something.
Well,
is that the General Assembly?
No, the General Assembly is obviously the affiliated schools in primary schools on their own.
Yeah.
And then high schools and junior clubs have their own constituency going together, and then the referees. But it's in all three components, including the union. It's over 100 affiliates.
There's a lot of admin to go through.
It's a lot of admin to go
and
through.
Preparation and.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
One needs to know all their constitutions and the union's constitution. If there's any conflict that exists, then the union's constitution takes preference.
One of the things that you're busy with at the moment, of course, that I think a lot of people don't realize is that as the host province, the HSBC Sevens is coming up.
That's correct.
And you guys have to contribute to that process.
No, we do assist SA Rugby. Obviously, with regard to the match officials, World Rugby obviously bring in the referees and the referee assistants, and obviously we then have to look at the managing of the table, the substitutes, timekeeping.
What about the teams that are coming? Like, do you have to think about where they warm up and?
No, and then obviously we also play a fundamental role with regard to the logistics. We supply them with liaison officers, and the liaison officers are obviously very important in that they make the team stay here easier. They are the link between SA Rugby and the teams.
So do you have to help out with things like hotels and airport transfers and ice and towels and
all those things? We do. The liaison officers, they really do a very good job. So they involve, and the bulk of our liaison officers come from our clubs.
Yeah, well, obviously I would imagine that. I would imagine, but you have quite a lot of club guys as well. I mean, I've seen whenever we've had like test matches, you've had certain club guys also get involved locally, driving
Yeah.
or chaperoning?
All our liaison officers are club-based,
Yeah.
and we're quite proud of the work that they do.
Well, you want someone with some local knowledge as well. You need to know where the
Local knowledge, and when it comes to the sevens, local knowledge and some beef, because it's not sitting on your backside. You know, you really have to
Yeah.
work with the team,
Yeah.
because you become part of the team dynamics.
yeah.
So
yeah.
yes, you have to sweat a bit.
Jerome, on your side, you've been busy with this development project now for a while, and I know you've chosen one club just to get the ball rolling, and you did some work at. And we're going to look at the video, some of the footage that was shot at the High Performance Center. You got started on Monday.
I think it was March. We had Busy Bees, Nyanga, and Kaelica. We had all of them in.
Yeah.
And we did 6 weeks of testing and training with them.
Yeah.
So myself and Faisal Felton had 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with Busy Bees because they're also planning for next year.
Yeah.
So they asked us if we can just retest their guys again. So we did it on Monday.
Okay, we're going to look at
the
that.
HPC. Yes.
We're going to take a look at some of the testing, and you can talk us through that. I think testing is quite important, so you know what your progress is. But folks, as you know, as I mentioned earlier on, a lot of the clubs are already busy with pre-season training and off-season conditioning and so on. And so the two places that we focused on this week was Durban, who we know are preparing for the Gold Cup, and Jerome's development project that was happening at the HPC. And we'll speak to Rifat Jappi, and he's going to take us through some of the fitness tests that were happening on Monday at the High Performance Center. From next week, we'll also be including the Stormers pre-season team. Gert Small and the guys have given us access to the players and exclusive behind the scenes footage of the players and the boys preparing for the Super Rugby season that's coming up. But let's quickly take a look at what happened at Durban this week. Welcome back, everybody. Durban there at a CrossFit session. We were out there at the Norsub CrossFit session. Of course, Coach Barry Conradi, they're running things there for Durban. Jerome, this type of training seems to be becoming quite a standard now, functional training.
Yeah, it does, and a lot of teams are doing it. And it's good as you see how they progress and they work without weights and this proper technique.
Yeah.
And this is a lot of time that this is actually the right time to do the right technique before the guys going to their strength, real strength phase. And yeah, that's what they were doing. And most of the clubs are, like I say, we're fortunate in Western Province that most of the clubs have access to CrossFit.
It takes quite a few months for the body to adapt to this kind of training. You have to work through the muscles, you've got to break the muscles down, you've got to build them up, you've got to eat properly, you've got to sleep properly, all of these kind of things. You can't wait until, you in fact don't want to do too much of this stuff during season also. You've got to start with this now.
Yeah, during season, JP, that's where a lot of clubs has got it wrong. During season, you just maintain.
Yeah.
You can continue with gym, but like a bit lighter. And now it's the right technique. And as you say, now you build muscle, and you get your reps in now. But it's more about the right technique.
Yeah.
And also, you must be careful. So if you don't do the right things, what they were doing without weights and starting with weights that not so heavy, because some clubs will go and push guys in the gym and go heavy, and then the next day they don't go back to the gym because they can't walk.
Yeah, no, well, that's one of the common mistakes. You can't train on a broken muscle. So, and I think also people do tend to train too heavy with weights, when you could reduce the weight and change the way that the body is pushing the weight, and still make it difficult.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, we managed to speak to Durbell's Tian Radain. He's the centre at Durbell. He's had 97 caps for Durbell, and he just gives us a little bit of input on his feelings of how they're enjoying CrossFit training at Durbell in preparation for the Gold Cup.
Yes, ja, kyk, ons almal het ons baie lank gewag vir die seisoen met die droogte en die uitstel en ons het regtig 'n baie goeie seisoen gehad. Almal het ingekoop in die stelsel. Afrigters het met 'n plan gekom en ons het almal ingekoop. Ja, en ons kan bly wees. Ja, kyk, soos ek sê, ons het 'n baie goeie seisoen gehad en ja, ons het nou in die finaal verloor teen Maties. Ja, ons het weer gekwalifiseer vir Gold Cup, soos jy kan sien vanaand. Dit's 'n klomp nuwe gesigte sodat hou die boys op hulle tone en ons sien uit vir die challenge wat vir ons elkeen voorlê. Ek moet sê ons het laas jaar vir die eerste keer in die begin CrossFit. Ons het dit nooit voorheen gedoen nie. Dit het ons baie gehelp. Dit gee vir jou baie daai rugby kontinuïteit wat jy nodig het. Ou kan nie altyd gym toe gaan en swaar weights rondgooi nie. So CrossFit help ons baie met fiksheid, met stabiliteit en al daai goed. So dit werk baie goed vir ons op die oomblik. Ja, soos ek sê, ons eerste mikpunt, ons vat dit bootjie vir bootjie. So ons mikpunt is om uit te gaan in die Gold Cup te wen. Niemand wil in 'n kompetisie gaan en tweede kom nie. En daarna is dit klaar, as ons terugkom begin die liga dadelik. So dan vat ons weer die volgende stapie vir na Gold Cup.
So the guys are in preparation for the Gold Cup. Mr. Jones, is Durbell the only Western Province club in the Gold Cup?
Yes, the only Western Province club.
And they start on the 9th of March. So
Start on the 9th of March, that's correct.
Yeah.
You know, it's for all the winners, 14 provincial winners, plus Limpopo. And then there's a wild card, I think it's East Rand.
Yeah, how do you think Durbell's going to do?
Win the competition.
Straight to the point. Durbell's going to win the Gold Cup. Well, we expect nothing less, we're pretty sure. We also spoke to Hannu Stoffberg, plays flank for Durbell.
Ja, ek dink was 'n besonderse seisoen. Nuwe bestuur, nuwe coach. Ons is 'n jong span en ek dink ons het onsself oortref in ons eerste jaar. Ons het ons mikpunte bereik en ek glo volgende jaar met die Gold Cup sal nog beter wees. Ja, ons speel begin Januarie, 19 Januarie speel ons eerste warm-up game. So ons moet al begin regkry vir dan en die Gold Cup wat daarna volg wat 6 Maart begin. Ja, dit help die diepte baie en die Gold Cup is 'n ding wat spelers aantrek tot die klub. Ek dink ons het geen speler verloor van laas jaar af nie, so ons sien uit aan die Gold Cup, ons groot sal gaan. Met die fisiese krag en stamina, spierstamina help dit ons ongelooflik baie. Bodyweight, goed soos squats, presses, daai tipe rugby, funksionele oefeninge is ongelooflik. Definitief, ons hoop om die Gold Cup 'n groot sukses te maak, as ook die liga weer 'n sukses te maak.
Right, folks, Hannu Stoffberg position there at Durbell. It plays flank for Durbell. Score Energy Drinks is, of course, on board with Western Province Club Rugby and Cape Rugby TV. And if you want to win yourself a case of Score, all right, all you need to do is SMS the word SCORE to 33090. 33090, and you can put yourself in the mix to win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks. Congratulations to last week's winner, Carmen Mitchell. Carmen, you walk away with a case of Score energy drink. Someone's going to get in touch with you, and of course, fantastic to have Score on board. We've just finished the Western Province Club Rugby Score Sevens tournament. It was a massive success with more than 900 players and 44 teams taking part of the Score Western Province Club Rugby Sevens tournament. We're going to catch up now with Deurbel coach Johan Kotze. A little fly flying around the studio. Johan Kotze is, of course, the coach at Deurbel, and we managed to catch up with him, and then we're going to an ad break.
Ja, ons het 'n goeie jaar gehad. Ons het serieus doelwitte vir onsself gestel in die begin van die jaar. Ek dink ons het alles boksies getik vir die jaar. Maar die werk is nie klaar nie. Ons het serieus doelwitte vir wat ons wil bereik in die volgende jaar. So die harde werk begin maar nou eers. Right, so ons het laas jaar het ons op hierdie paadjie afgegaan. Dis meer rondom beweeglikheid, dis meer rondom ouens se krag bietjie op te druk. So kondisionering het ons so 4-5 komponente, so muscle endurance en muscle strength wat ons graag hierso in die gym gedoen kry. So ons het 'n partnership met Barry hier by Nosap en ons is al oor 'n jaar lank hier by hom. So dis maar om net om 'n baie meer afgeronde kondisionering standaard te skep vir die ouens. Op hierdie stadium lyk dit of 'n klub rugby span redelik vinnig uitrol. So dis in ons belang om heeltyd nuwe talent in te kry en nuwe manne in ons stelsel in te kry. So dis maar deel van daai strategie. Ons het nie ons deure oopgemaak nie. Ons het net ouens toegelaat in ons span op persoonlike verwysing. So spelers af my sê hoe lyk dit met daai en so en so. Dis 'n spanpoging. Ons is baie committed teenoor ons huidige span. Ons is nie van plan om onmiddellik net ons span uit te draai nie, maar dis ook in ons belang om nuwe bloed in te kry in ons omgewing. Dus sonder twyfel wil ons die WP baie goed verteenwoordig in die Gold Cup. Ons het ons doelwitstelling sessie met die spelers gedoen. Daar's geen vrae rondom dit nie. Ons wil baie graag die Gold Cup wen. Ons doelwit is gestel. Ons het ook baie ernstige doelwitte vir onsself gestel vir die SLA daarna. So dis maar alles doelwitte wat ons najag en maar die harde werk begin nou en hulle weet dit.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We talk about rugby in Western Province. We've got that kind of mellow feeling at the moment after the season, and everyone's just having a lot of fun. It's been so much interesting conversation around rugby. A lot of discussion around rugby development. I think it's absolutely fantastic. We've got Jerome Parvater and Danny Jones in studio with us. And before the break, we spoke to Deurbel coach Johan Kotze. Jerome, one of the interesting things that came out there that he said that I thought was interesting is that they used the players as reference points. So they didn't go recruiting players. And I must say, I don't like this concept of recruiting players. All right, I believe that players should come from your neighborhood and from your schools to play rugby. But what they did was they asked the players to refer other friends instead of going outside. So they left it up to the players to pick their own players.
Yeah, it's quite a interesting and I would say a good idea, because if I have a friend who can play rugby, I don't say he must be at a different club, but I can tell him, listen, come join in at the club, or come join in at the club, come see, have a look what we are busy doing, and also then that's where the coach come in, that's where Johan come in, then you'll obviously make it interesting for the guy. If you like it there, he will obviously stay. So it's very important.
Create a nice geest like that.
What they are doing, and it's actually better that he can actually distance himself and say, look, I didn't ask you to come.
You brought your friends.
So if I say you do 100 push-ups, you do 100 push-ups. Otherwise, you wanted to come out of your own.
Yeah. Danny, how important is that? We know that government and so on, they talk about this concept, and which I especially liked from your Sevens tournament, is the concept of social cohesion. Not that this is a political show, but we hear that concept a lot. But in fact, when we look at ground level, it's quite important that people are all getting and linking to each other, and that's kind of what your Sevens did. And the Deurbel concept there of bringing friends to practice, is that something that's important? Or am I missing the boat?
No, I think the clubs always play an important role for social cohesion. I mean, they keep the community together, they give the community hope, they entertain them. So that's important, and that's why sport is an important component for any healthy society. But with reference to rugby and that, we do believe that our clubs play, it's more than just a game.
Yeah.
And they play an important role in getting the whole community focused together, fit, healthy, and also involved.
I like the way that you've just phrased that. In fact, that might become one of our new catchphrases here on Cape Rugby TV. It's more than just a game. Fantastic. I love that concept. More than just a game. Well, anyway, we were out at the HPC on the weekend, at least not on the weekend, on Monday, where Jerome Parvata is busy with his special project for the club players, and one of the first things we looked there is skin folds. Let's take a look at some of the scenes behind the scenes.
I'm just taking some skin folds, so we're doing 7 sides of skin folds. So we'll classify each position in certain groups, and if certain guys are over certain standards, then they'll have to do extra cardio to lose some of their body fat.
All right, Jerome, run us through that. All I saw was naked upper bodies.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got the parental guidance on this. So
Yeah, it's just the top of, it could be Baywatch. All I saw was Baywatch.
yeah, no. What Rifat Japi was doing was just taking the skin folds of the guys. So it's basically their fat presentation, whether it's on the abs, on the biceps, on the calves. So he can measure that and then give them a target. So he took each guy individually. So he measured their skin folds, so they know what to work.
Why is this important? Why do you need to know what your skin folds are?
It's important if you're overweight and if you have a lot of fat presentation around your abs or around your calves or your. So you can take he test it and tell them like your skin folds on your abs is 12.5 and it must come down. Say the highest is 20, so you must reduce your skin folds if it's cutting out carbs, or and you can also tell a guy, look,
so
you're too skinny, you need to up on certain fat intake, or so that's basically what it do, and it gives you an idea of where you are, where you need to work towards.
So it's basically a body fat percentage checkup.
That's exactly.
Do the guys do they perhaps come there? I mean, this is not only important from rugby, like we said earlier on. It's more than just a game. It's actually quite a health benefit. I mean, you should be concerned about your health if your body fat percentage is too high. I mean, one of the global problems is obesity.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, like normal people, JP, we take it for granted that we just go on, but it's important, and there's various tests that you can do.
Have you had your skin folds tested lately, Jerome?
Not lately.
Mr. Jones, have you had your skin folds checked?
Weekly.
Weekly with a doc.
I must say, I had my heart tested this morning, and I had my blood level tested.
And you came out okay?
This morning. What happened now at the HPC, JP, Dr. Karen Swabi, she said that she was overseas, and they said the most important people that they need to test, because they only need, as you were saying now, they only need to test the players. But the coaches take so much strain, and they neglect that.
Right. So stress levels have to be controlled.
So
Danny, is that something that we might see in the future? Is that player management undergoes body fat tests and cardiovascular tests?
Look, players do, but I think if you're going to, and Jerome mentions an important point, yes, it is a neglected domain with reference to coaches and managers, but I do think if you're investing money in them, then you need to obviously have a healthy mind and a healthy body.
Yeah.
So it does help you, because you wouldn't want to appoint a coach and he dies on you the next day.
Yeah.
You get, so
stress,
that should be part of the of your risk management profile.
We were talking about this now, is the contribution that the management and the administrators make to the world of sport, and just how stressful that is. I mean, when you're a player, you just have to win games and perform, but as an administrator, you're worrying 24 hours a day.
Well, you're right, JP. As you know, professional sport, it's a very crude business to be in. People want winners, and winners are rewarded. So for you to be in a race, you need to be properly conditioned, the best stadiums, the best of players, and you know, player cost, player salary cost has really skyrocketed, because one can understand why, because of the limited time span that they have in the game, etc. But that doesn't necessarily, your expenditure obviously goes up with that. Your income doesn't necessarily equal that growth. That becomes the challenge, and that's where administrators' stress occurs, when your income does not exceed expenditure.
But isn't it also the case of sometimes the money is just not enough? The things like, especially in the volunteer space, that's not about the money. So the little things like you've done a good job, or a pat on the back, or the recognition of just being accepted in the volunteer space goes a long way to making you feel better at the end of the day.
100%. I mean, you find out quite a lot of research has said it's not, rewards are not necessarily just financial.
Yeah.
Rewards, there are other forms of rewards, and you write appreciation, acknowledgement, and that's important. But that focus a lot on the on the amateur component.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, on the professional side, as you know, if you look at the soccer and basketball and baseball in America, you have to reward players. There's no doubt about it. Otherwise, you're not in the game at all.
Well, overseas, there's no question about it. I mean, you're not going to get David Beckham for free.
100%.
Well, in fact, you probably won't get David Beckham at all anymore. Jerome Parvada was out at the High Performance Centre with the guys coming through the Special Project Club, and we now take a look at them squatting. Right, so we just took a quick look at some of the squats that the players did there, Jerome. Again, back to and I see the guys were squatting. You've given me the list here, your list of results, and I see the guys squatting. So one guy's squatting 160 kilograms, another one's squatting 170 kilograms, and 120 kilograms, and the list goes on here. Squatting itself, is this a stock standard practice for the players?
Yeah, for players, I mean, it's more to work with to put lots of pressure on your weights, on your legs. Sorry, on your legs, to get your legs, because that's one of the most important components of the game. Is you need to have strong legs, and you need to work through the tackle with your legs. So that's very important. That's why they do that. And the most important thing is, which Rifat was telling the guys, it's the safety aspect also of it. So you'll see there's always a guy spotting behind the guy, because anything can happen. How many times you see guys in the gym and he do a weight on his own? Anything can happen.
So when you're talking about spotting, you're talking about somebody behind
him or in front of him if he do a bench. So that's the most important thing there. And also, JP, you're correct in saying on the guys in the weights that the guys were doing. And you could see, and we could tell from this, so Jappy will give the guys feedback, because they have this program. So we were 6 weeks from March, we had them for 6 weeks. So you can see who the guys who worked. So they were weak when we started with them March, but you can see where they are now. So we could just continue with them, and the other guys need to catch up who's not on par.
And you were doing this also from a testing perspective. Why? I mean, this was your first phase. How long would this go on for? Your next session obviously won't be testing.
No, it won't be. It won't be testing. So it's now they know the technique, and they know where they go. So they will they will try to, for example, if they're going to do next, if they're coming in and do a squat again,
Yeah.
they will try and increase the weight a little bit.
Because
So
now you
not,
actually
not too heavy, but just increase a little bit, and then focus solely on the technique, and then they will be what weight they're comfortable with each player.
Right, folks, that's of course so far we've taken a look at the bench pressing and squatting, and we're going to keep talking to Jerome about how you as a club can take this back to the club and use this either at home or in the club space, and just try and find a little bit more about this off-season conditioning and strength training, which is so important for clubs in preparation of next year. We'll take an ad break and continue with our Special Project Club player exposure. Welcome back, folks. As I said, today is a rather rustige show, and we're having so many offline conversations. And I think during the season, Mr. Jones, during the season, we talk so much about results and logs and fixtures. The conversations we're having now is completely different. It's about development and where we're going into the future. And this is almost like, feels like the exciting part of rugby.
It is, JP, because we can share ideas and build a bigger brand and stronger brand, you know, so it's important.
I mean, that as administrators who are not playing 80 minutes of rugby, this is what administrators get a kick out of.
No, definitely. I mean, the program that Jerome is busy with, we identified some time ago, and we said, look, we need to get more club players fitter, stronger. So let's target a few clubs and busy bees. We set a criteria, and we said the top club in the Super League C from, let's say, the township, and let's reward them. Because our focus is that we want to have a township club in Super League A, and to be sustainable. So what we then did, we said there is no way we can just, by rewriting the competition, the rules, put them in there. So we need a program and a process.
Is there any
So we're busy now, we are busy with that program and process by saying we need to, firstly, capacity build players, making them fitter, making them stronger, and make them understand what conditioning is all about, improving the administration. During the year, we've had a number of coaching clinics as well as administration courses, so that we upskill the administrators. We find in many of our clubs are one or two persons driven. And when they are not around, the club disintegrates. So we are saying, no, the more capacity building and the more we build leadership in clubs, the easier it is for people. And then because it's a shared responsibility,
support structure.
And absolutely, and then the club can be sustained longer, beyond just the years of one or two people running a club.
Is there any? You said it. We were talking about this offline about the fact that it's the players that will generally get the glory if they win the medals and win the trophies and all that. And quite often it's the administrator, the manager, the coach standing behind the scenes with the clipboard. He's the one that got she got the players there. And they actually just end up going home with that feel-good feeling. That like, okay, I've had success, I feel good about it. But we spoke about how much stress these administrators can go through. Is there any, I can sort of think what you're going to answer, but is there any examples of that you could give us of what it is that gives you that feel-good feeling? That's the kind of thing that's not the medal. That feeling of you go home at the end of the day and you go, I've really done it. Is it in the rugby space that you've seen a club has got better fields and you made sure that happened, or a club has recruited more players and you made sure that has happened, or the club has got more kids and you've made sure that happens?
I think the most important thing, JP, for any administrator is, I think some of them might not be aware of it, is can I and am I making a difference? That's the most important thing. And
what for you personally is that one or two of those things that you've noticed in the year, or even in the last few years, that you go, hang on, that's a feel good for me?
The mere fact that there's a number of feel goods for me. the fact that our clubs are part of the leagues, the fact that they play, the fact that they turn up on a Saturday, that they give off their best as an administrator, those give me really good feelings.
Is it like the Sevens, for example? Was that a good feeling for you when you saw 44 teams?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, because it says that there is certain, we as administrators, we must create the enabling environment. Because clubs and players are there who would play rugby 24/7.
Yeah.
The Sevens proved that. We went on 3 years ago when we started the project, we were blind by where we're going into, and we started with 20 plus clubs, now we're 44.
Yeah.
And some of the clubs missed the closing date, but there were about 6 or 7 who would wanted to play. Now that for us is great,
Yeah.
in that there's a need, there's a demand to play rugby.
Yeah.
And we just need to create those spaces for them to actually show off their skills. And once again, it is about keeping communities together and keeping them active on a Saturday.
No, I think that's fantastic. When you get to a field and you see there's hundreds of kids or players participating, then you know that you've done your job. And when you go home at the end of the day, anybody who goes home at the end of the day says, "I've done my job."
JP, the
It
real
has a
good,
feel-good feeling.
the real
Jerome?
good feeling for me before Jerome is you know, when clubs are involved in the fixtures, and the Springboks or the Stormers are playing,
Yeah.
and you find spectators at a club game, that's a good feeling
Yeah.
for me. Because yes, it shows you that even though they have access to top games and to watch it on television, they still go out, pay that 20 rand at the gate and go watch club rugby.
Folks, we were of course at the High Performance Centre, and talking about a feel-good feeling is when some of the players from the club rugby space get the opportunity to go down to the High Performance Centre and actually be involved and have an opportunity at the kind of facilities where Jerome Parvater is instrumental in bringing club rugby players to another level. Let's take a look now at some of the other exercises they did, and we also got some interviews.
Yeah, no, it's quite an experience, man. I'm sure some of us, it's our first time here. So being in here and working on this off season has been it's quite interesting. Yeah, so excited. Yeah, yeah, no, it's an honor. I mean, like I said, most of us haven't, like, you know, we only dream to be here. You know, I mean, as you said, like, it's professional athletes or gymming here, and to have an opportunity to, you know, also join in, that really gives us as a club motivation to work harder and actually look at it as a, you know, maybe bettering our rugby, you know. Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's been a lot of preparations this year already to go to Super B and to finally have made it. It's definitely, it was a dream. It was part of the goal. And now that we are at Super B, we obviously we don't want to go back to Super C. So we need to put in the work, obviously, here in the training, and then obviously, hopefully, also try to stay in the top, or hopefully elevate and go to Super A. So yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, definitely. It's been quite an experience, and to do some of the drills, the speed testing, and then, you know, obviously the weightlifting, to get professional experience. I mean, opinion and help has obviously lifted up the boys, and we're excited, and we're happy that we're getting this opportunity.
Welcome back, folks. We're just talking now again offline about the players having the opportunity to go and to the HPC. Jerome, before we go to the pull-ups and the push-ups and that, it's kind of strange that you give a player an opportunity to work really like physically, if a push a weight, sprint a run, and your heart rate is pumping. But when you finish with that, when you finish with that training, you have a feeling inside you of just like, I really had to work now. And then when you make it into the team, it's justified making it. There's a sense of feel-goodness that comes from this.
Yeah, JP, and also for these guys to come into the high performance center where the Stormers are training, where guys like Eben Etzebeth, Springboks are training, and you can give them and tell them this is a norm, this is what the lock is doing, this is what a scrum off is doing, this is your target.
Yeah.
And then these guys, as you're saying, then they go into this gym and they try their best to do that. If they walk out there, they know what it takes to become either a professional rugby player, and they don't listen to the nonsense that people are talking out there.
They see it firsthand now.
Yeah, they see it and they know
They're
that they're there and they can do it or they can't do it. And these guys are so positive. If you hear about this, the guy in the interview now, how honored he is and how glad he is to be there.
So Danny, I mean, that just goes to what you were saying earlier on, that feel-good feeling. It doesn't matter if you're lying on the floor absolutely broken after your training session, but you've got that feeling of, I just had to work. And forget about the players rubbing shoulders with the Stormers and that, which I think is great, but the fact that you've had an opportunity to put your hands on the iron, somebody has brought you to a facility. They talk about changing lives, not only in masses, but individuals.
No, definitely, JP. One of our, when we started the program, the Club to Vodacom under Jerome's tutelage, the idea wasn't so much, yes, we wanted a number of players from township clubs and community clubs to get into the Vodacom team. But our hidden agenda was to improve Super League A, B and C rugby. And so by getting people into the gym, getting them at the HPC, working towards a goal to get them into the Vodacom team, that would be for let's say for 10 or 15% of the group. But the rest of the group was sending them back to their clubs, better players, better conditioned, understanding the game, and improving their club rugby, because if you take the aggregate amount, improving club rugby in general, so that we have a better product. So that was the whole issue around getting players to the club to Vodacom. And Jerome, I must say, has done well. And we're pushing now, where we're looking at, as I said, part of our developmental program is to look at township clubs and improving township clubs, so that we want to have a township club in Super League A in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's not just, also just on another note, I love the fact that it's not just about the players, that you've also seen coaches and managers touching on this as well, and there's a full experience, and I firmly believe that sport, and in this case rugby, makes for better human beings. But anyway, let's get back to the actual physical component. We were out at the HPC when we took a look at some of the endurance factors as well as some of the cardio factors. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here. Oh, welcome back, folks. So we took a little bit there, look at pull-ups. Jerome, the pull-ups itself is also, it's not just about pulling yourself up and making one muscle strong. It takes quite, this is one of there are a couple of core things that the body can do. Push, pull, leverage.
It's with the pull-up, it works a lot of aspects of the body, JP. It's your core. Your core must be, if your core is not strong, you can't do one pull-up. So it works in the core. And as you were saying, you just don't work on it's just not to get the bicep bigger, but sort of your whole arm. And so you use your whole body. So we use the body weight. It's different than bodybuilders going to a quick rep.
With the
So
cables,
we do,
maybe.
yeah, we do.
I mean, and look at that. That's an interesting thing that you mentioned there. Like, we keep thinking about the fact that you must have a gym. And so you wanted, back in the day, we said, oh, gym membership is a critical thing, and you had to have it, otherwise that you can't play rugby, or you can't play tennis, or whatever. And so you would want cables to pull yourself. Now you go in, you can put up a bar at home and pull yourself up.
Yeah, but it's all about the right technique. If you're a rugby player, you must use. We want to use the body weight and chin up, and to get over the bar. That's the right technique.
And you're not swinging yourself.
No, it's stable. That's again, like at some stages there, I was spotting a guy.
Supporting a little
so
bit.
you can help a guy just to keep him, guys who's not used to it.
So you can still support him a little bit to get that last one or
Yeah.
two right. Folks, also we took a look at some of the cardio sessions, but before that, let's quickly speak to one of the players.
Yeah, it's way too good, man. Like the opportunity we got to come to this HPC, it's much pleasant for the guys. As you can see around, there's all smiles to the guys. So surely they appreciate the venue we have now. Well, like not every guys get the opportunity to come this to HPC. But the guys, as you can see, they're all happy to share the same venue that the Stormers usually gym at. So we really appreciate it. We're very happy to get the experience these guys are giving us. Surely next year we're gonna work and improve more and more to the skills like we had last year. I mean this year. So it's very pleasant thing to get from these guys. We really appreciate it. Surely we're gonna be ready next year. We're pushing. It's not up till here. Even individually, we go to the gym and gym. So surely next year will be amazing. We're gonna give those guys tough time. So yeah, man.
Some more positivity there from the players. Let's go straight through to the cardio section, and this is now the speed test and Branco test.
Okay, the Branco test is basically a nice fitness test that you can use. It's an aerobic test. It's in total a 1.2 kilometers, so you can do it on a rugby field. Start on the try line, run 20 meters, back 40, back 60, back. That's one sequence, so you complete that sequence 5 rounds, and it's in total 1.2 kilometer time trial test. So we'll retest that again when we do a bit of fitness afterwards. The Branco test gives me an indication to see where the guys are at, especially now that we started, so nice for a baseline. So if we're going to do some fitness tests, it can give me an indicator to see if guys improve on the running programs that we give them. So if we're going to retest, so more aerobic based running, and we'll see if we can improve it on the year.
We know him as Rabbit. Instrumental there behind the scenes, Jerome.
Yeah, JP, and the work that he put in, I'm so glad for him, because he is now officially the head conditioning coach of the Stormers, with Stefan de Toit, who was the Stormers conditioning coach. He's in France with Stade Francais, and Jappy for 5 years working under Stefan, and always with me at the HPC till late, early mornings.
He's put in the hard yards.
He put the hard yards in. The
Yeah.
great guy, and he doesn't complain. He just keeps on doing his work.
Danny, how exciting is that, though? I mean, the fact that we've got a guy who's come through the club rugby ranks. I think Jappy plays for collegians. We saw all the aunties there, and there's a big family cohesion there. I mean, how incredible is that?
JP, it's really a wonderful moment, and let me congratulate him. Look, you're correct. He started at Collegians, played rugby there, went to study at Stellenbosch, and he kept going. Came into our system as an intern, and then obviously Jerome abused him in the sense that him and Nasir, from the interns, we carry them onto our books. But I want to say that these guys work like anything.
Yeah.
They work a 12-hour shift. They really put in the hard yards, and schools also. They helped us at schools, at clubs, women's work, anything that we request that came through from the amateur
But
section.
isn't it really nice that you have someone who understands the club environment intimately? I mean, to give back to club rugby, if you really want to give back, you need to know club rugby. I believe you need to come from the heart and soul of club rugby now, because one of these days you're probably going to ask Rafid, to do some courses for clubs.
No,
and he will know how to do it.
No, you will. I mean, we actually used him over the past 2 years. Jerome has used him to engage with clubs around fitness and that. But look, he has done the hard yards. He comes from very humble beginnings, humble family, and Mitchell's Plain.
Yeah.
And what a role model is he for the kids in Mitchell's Plain, to say that from Mitchell's Plain to the Stormers, it doesn't happen overnight.
I think we need to celebrate his achievements. I think it's really fantastic. Jerome, I think you've been instrumental in this process. And I must say, congratulations to you. And thanks for coming on the show every week. Without you coming here every single week like you have been, we probably wouldn't know about Rifat and much of the high performance and what's happening with the clubs. I mean, you must be happy with Jappy there.
Yeah, JP, I think you're spot on saying it's so important for a guy to come from the club ranks so he can identify himself. Even there were some of these guys of Busy Bees that played for Collegians, that he played with, that he tests now. And he can identify himself with the lowest of players, where you get guys in. They haven't experienced that. It's difficult for them to work with these guys, but he can work with them, and he can work with the Springbok. So that's why Jappy is so successful, and that's what we need in Western Province.
But also critically important that like why he would be successful is someone like Rifat will know what the infrastructure is back home. He'll understand what the family environment is like at home, what type of gym facilities are available back home. You can get the world's top-end PhD sports scientist, but if he doesn't know what your home environment is like, it's useless.
Exactly.
Yeah. Danny, we're going to leave it at that. It's been fantastic to have you here.
No, thank you. It's good to be here, JP, and we'll see you here next time.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see you next time. Jerome, thanks to you.
Yeah, JP, I must also just say thanks to Chippy Solomons. He's not just the Stormers manager, he's also the facility manager, and you can see how nice the facility look. And Chippy also, coming from club rugby, he never complains. If you say you want these guys to come in, the doors are open, and he's also a great help.
That's all right. Thanks, Jerome. Yeah, Chippy Solomon, stalwart behind the scenes there, also old Kayla boy. All right, folks, that's a wrap from us here at Cape Rugby TV. Don't forget, MChem24, our pharmacy, is, of course, available for all your pharmaceutical needs. They're on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. Fantastic coffee shop. They've just had a full refurbishment. So MChem24 Pharmacy, 24 hours a day. There's no other 24-hour pharmacy available that I know of in Cape Town. And of course, Dulux Maitland at number 30 Kuberg Road. I know that Jerome Parvater has popped around there to get his paint supplies. They will spec your premises. They will give you the absolute best service and best quality products. So get around to Dulux Maitland at number 30 Kuberg Road. We will continue looking at club rugby for the rest of the season until next season, off-season, pre-season, and during season. That's a wrap from us. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.